Folks, it's a really big honor to bring out our next guest. She's known around the world for her work against the death penalty, also for her best-selling novel, Dead Man Walking. Please give a big, warm Spotlight New Orleans welcome for Sister Helen Prejean.
Hi, y'all. It's good to be in New Orleans.
You travel a lot.
I do. I'm saying it's good to be in New Orleans.
How much of the year are you here?
Maybe a third, maybe 1/45th.
Yes. Good callback. You are very committed, spending that much time traveling.
Got to. Have to do it. Wake up, people.
Yeah. I don't know if this is a holiday book, but I don't think there's ever a bad time to read and be educated, but I recently read your novel, Dead Man Walking.
Well, actually, it's like nonfiction. It's not a novel.
Not a novel.
It really has. Or if you want nonfiction. I kind of got the feel of this show. I mean, this is New Orleans, right?
We were actually asking for the show if you had any nun jokes.
Oh, God, I'm loaded with nun jokes. You hear about this nun that went in the bar? I got nun jokes. You want nun jokes?
Yeah, tell us a nun joke.
So there was a thing, and the plane was delayed, then it was canceled. All these people are hanging out in the lobby of a hotel. They've been put there for the night. So a guy goes over to the bar, and it's going to be a long night, and he sees a nun kind of sitting in the corner. And so he goes over and he goes, "Sister, look, I'm a Catholic. I went to St. Christopher Elementary School. Sister, it's going to be a long night. Let me buy you a drink." Oh, she goes, "Oh, I don't know. He goes, "Come on, sister, it's going to be a long night. Let me buy." She said, "Well, maybe I'll have one of those martinis." He says, "Gotcha, sister, gotcha." So he goes up to the bar and he says, "Look, I'm going to have a martini myself with a lot of olives. And for my friend over there, she would like a wink, wink martini." And the bartender said, "That nun in the bar here again?" You don't want all my jokes. It'd be more than 1/45th.
Oh, that's great. I want to talk about, kind of go back in time and, before you were doing the work against the death penalty and kind of what brought you there.
Yeah.
I know.
That's the subject of the book, not a novel.
Yes.
The third book.
Yes.
Which is called
River of Fire?
He could be in my 8th grade. He could be in my 8th grade class. River of Fire, the memoir. It's a story of waking up that the gospel of Jesus is more than about being charitable to people around us, especially people of white privilege.
Yes.
Being charitable to everybody that we go to church with and all, and praying for God to solve the problems of the world, but getting involved with social justice. Like Pope Francis has said, that people who are Christians ought to be the field hospital out there where the wounded and hurting people are in society, and waking up to that. So it was a change, waking up in consciousness. I had 2 cocoons I had to break out of.
Okay.
One was nuns before the Vatican Council happened, Second Vatican Council, where we were like semi-cloistered. We would go to teach, and I always loved the kids. You hear those memes,
Yes.
nun stories, Sister
Yeah.
Godzilla. We never did that. We had fun.
Right.
In fact, some of your skits here kind of remind me a little bit of our 8th grade skits we had in 10th grade. Really good. No, I taught English, so you have kids, right? And the boys are going to do their skits. The girls always polished, This was directed by, written by Real Powerful Boys. You're gonna get up there and you know whatever they're gonna do on whatever theme, it will include a scene with a little old lady sitting on a park bench who's gonna beat the hell out of somebody with her purse. It always included it. So I taught English, St. Francis Cabrini over there. So waking up, the first cocoon was that religion is not a private thing. That I'd say I'm not political, I'm spiritual, above the political, they're all a mess. And the other was to wake up to white privilege. Because when I grew up in Baton Rouge in the 40s, 50s, during the Jim Crow era, I'm growing up as a white person in Baton Rouge where it's Sacred Heart Church. Black people couldn't sit with white people. Black kids couldn't make their first Holy Communion with white kids, which is supposed to be in the Christian mystery of Jesus, that we're all one. And here was the separation. And servants' quarters in the back of the house. Ellen and Jesse didn't know their last names, and Mom and Daddy were kind, but never questioned the system. So waking up through Vatican II did a lot to wake up people in the church, that you're not just to be those hard dogmas. Are you a Catholic? And do you really believe in this dogma? Do you believe in that dogma? Do you believe in this? Or are you open to the suffering world and to get out there to practice compassion and justice? I had to wake up to that. And the white privilege, I moved into what was then the St. Thomas Housing Project. It was one of only like 5 white people that lived there, other nuns that worked at a place called Hope House, which is still going on today. Don Everard and Sister Lynn Brown, yes, still working with people. The Adult Education Center, helping people get their GEDs, helping people being just, and African American people became my teachers about my life. That I wasn't so virtuous, I'd just been so cushioned, so protected, so resourced with everything. We had kids coming into that adult learning center who had dropped out when they were juniors in high school here in New Orleans, and they couldn't read a 3rd grade book. And I'd gone to St. Joseph Academy, the best education, and then moved on to get a master's. And it's not that people were bad, it's not that they were stupid, it's that they were black. And to be black in this country, in an ex-slave state like Louisiana, I just woke up and people began to teach me. It was like being in another country and all the rules were different, John.
Yeah.
It was, everything with the police was different. Everything about where you went to school was different. Everything was different. I went and sat with people in Charity Hospital with a sick child went in at 11 at night and at 2 in the morning waiting for some poor, tired intern from LSU or Tulane to come attend to her and her sick child. This, in the United States, everybody ought to have health care. It's a given we ought to have health care. But I learned it. And then one day, the last page of the book, the memoir about waking up, is the first page of Dead Man Walking.
Right.
And it was, I got this invitation. Hey, Sister Helen, you want to be a pen pal? Somebody on death row. I thought I was only going to write letters. I never dreamed this person would be executed.
And what year did you move in?
1981.
1981.
Wrote the first letter to a man on death row, Patrick Sonia, 82. And he's electrocuted in 84, and I'm there, and I see it. And that's what really sets you on fire, is to see it. See, it's a hidden, secret ritual. You're never going to see it. And I was just at a vigil last night. And we were celebrating 10 years. Louisiana hadn't killed anybody. There have been no executions for 10 years. And there's a reason for that. I mean, people are beginning to wake up about the death penalty. I mean, Louisiana, there's just so much. We're the biggest incarcerated state. We give the harshest sentences. We're an ex-slave state. And part of it, and there are a lot of good books written on this now to help understand it. What are the plantation owners going to do for workers once the slaves were freed? Mm-hmm. How are they going to get people to work? So you set up the whole jail prison system, The overall catch-all net was loitering. So there's a black man on the street, get him for loitering, go into jail, serves the time, goes to get out. Well, you owe us for your food, you owe us for your lodging, and send them to a work camp and then never heard of again. The penal system has come directly out of the slavery system, where people are sent to prison to work. So we got a lot to do, but it's all about waking up. I mean, you know what, when you're having things like this, where you can be together, group of people in a room, and have some good music, you can have good talks together, and you can learn some stuff together, because we're not gonna change anything without community.
Absolutely.
So it's a great community building. I love being here. Everybody in a room, everybody talking with each other, enjoying each other. And then you wake up and then you go, well, wait, what am I gonna do? And that's what happened to me. That's what happened to me. I really got thrown in the fire because I witnessed this Pat Sonia being electrocuted to death and came out of that. It was April the 5th, 1984. It was in the middle of the night. I'd never in my life done anything like this. I knew nothing. Tim Robbins, all while we were making the film. Of Dead Man Walking, y'all heard of the film? All the time he was going, well, the nun was sent over her head. Well, I was. I knew nothing about the criminal justice. I'm learning. And I was saying this to John before we went on. One of the great things when you write a book like Dead Man Walking, the people reading the book go, well, she don't know what she's doing, man. This nun don't know what's going on. And you can follow somebody like that. You know, when somebody's an expert in the first page of the book, they're going to tell you everything that's happening. You know, you go, well, yeah, they know everything. But that nun don't know what she's doing. Let's see what's going to happen to her. And that's exactly what Dead Man Walking is. And Tim Robbins, Susan Sarandon made that film happen. It was Susan who read the book first. Right after it came out in paperback in 1994, hardback 93, and she pestered Tim Robbins for 9 months till he broke down. It's probably for domestic tranquility. Did you read the nun's book? No, I didn't read the nun. Did you read the nun's book? Finally read the book. And he said one time at DePaul University, he was giving a talk, and he said it was the easiest screenplay he ever wrote. Because you gotta take people over to both sides of the subject. Not the person being executed in their family, but the victim's family. What's really gonna help a victim's family? And bring them there honestly. And then you let the people looking at the film decide. You don't preach to them. Because Tim Robbins is personally against the death penalty. You're gonna make a film. It was the first thing he explained to me. The difference between art and propaganda. So he's against the death penalty, so he's going to shape this film. So when you come out at the end of this film, you got to be against the death penalty. No, he just brings you over to both sides and leaves you there. And the theater people, the managers told Tim afterwards, they'd never shown a film where everybody just stayed seated, came to the end of the film, and people stayed, and then they filed out in silence because they were thinking, and that's what art is. Art just brings us there.
What was that experience like for you? Like having Hollywood bring to life the story you had written?
Well, you know what I was glad about, John? Because at the end, if you ever in an execution chamber, you see a human being being taken to their death, okay? That's the heart of the fire that you're in. So when you see that Hollywood picks it up, and there's also a great opera of Dead Man Walking. It's the most produced modern opera in the world. It was just in television. It's gone all over. Because it's got a universal story in it of hurt and love and hate and what are we going to do? It's really, really powerful. So it really wasn't about me. Well, what's it like to have yourself portrayed by Susan Sarandon or all the women in the opera who me? It's a bigger story than me. And you can get that story out there and bring people close to human rights. Can we ever entrust the government the power to decide that some people need to die and we're going to set up a system that we can decide who they are and kill them? That's the bigger story. And I'm glad to get that story out there. And I'm a servant of the story. Like being here tonight. You invite me to come, I'm here.
Yeah.
Plus you serve wine, you got good stuff, great skits, great music, and a great crowd, a great audience, a good community of people.
What do you say to people that support the death penalty and say, but aren't some crimes just so horrible and, you just want to make sure that this person will never do it again? I mean, what's your
Right.
best argument?
Well, whenever you get into a conversation with somebody like the death penalty, you always have to see where they're coming from and where are they in their own journey of conversation. If somebody has had somebody killed in their family and they are just so angry and outraged, you're not going to have a real conversation. They're going to vent, and you want to try to hear their pain and all. But when people say things like, well, what about these people that did this? They don't deserve to live. And then you got to just start taking them there like, well, who deserves to decide that they're going to die? What system are we going to set up to determine this? And see, I know a lot now about this. I know how it works. So the Supreme Court in 1976, when they put the death penalty back, only 4 years after they had found it unconstitutional, said that it would only be for the worst of the worst murder. And who knows what that means? I mean, you kill my mother, that's the worst of the worst. So you turn it over to state legislatures, like our state has done too, and go, well, if you kill a policeman, but not if you kill a fireman. Well, if you kill a child, but you gotta define child. That's 14 or younger. Well, my child was killed, but my child's 16. You saying my child's not worth the death penalty? But if he had been 14, then he would have been. And you get into it, and it's impossible. And then you see how race plays a part. You look at anybody on death row across this country. You look at the 1,500 people who've been executed in this country, and you're going to see that 8 out of every 10 of them is because they killed a white person. And when you kill people of color, it's negligible, because when a life's negligible, a death is negligible. And you never pursue, it's very rare to pursue the death penalty for people of color. And because look who you put in charge. The DA in Jefferson Parish, when Harry Connick Sr. was DA. And look at the number of innocent people, because you're poor, you don't have an aggressive crackerjack of an attorney who's going to get the evidence and go up against that prosecutor, and you're going to walk out of that courtroom and you're innocent and you are going to death row. There's a man on death row now that I've been accompanying. I take one person at a time. Manuel Ortiz, he's from El Salvador. He's my 7th person I'm accompanying. He's totally innocent. And it was Jefferson Parish that has a huge reputation for getting blacks off the jury and for going after death. And Manuel Ortiz is one of the victims of the Jefferson Parish. And he's going on 28 years on death row, and he's innocent. And I don't know, I call him on Nelson Mandela, how he has the courage to keep waking up in that cell. And we have so many in Louisiana because they didn't get a fair trial. The trial's supposed to be an adversarial way of coming to truth. Prosecution presents, defense presents. But if you got a public defender, and many of them are good and dedicated, but they're so overworked, a capital trial is like brain surgery over against, like an appendectomy. You gotta know the law in so many ways. And they don't have a chance. And the jury never gets the evidence they need. And they walk out guilty, got a death sentence on them. We have the most per capita exonerations in this state because we make the most mistakes. So we gotta change it. Of course we gotta change it. And it's people getting to the legislature saying, we don't want to do this anymore. We don't need the death penalty. And then finally we learning about the cost, the millions of dollars it costs to go after death. Yes, some people do need to be incapacitated so they can't kill again. But you know what the warden told me one time, the warden of Angola,
What did he say?
"You're just dying to know, aren't you, John?" What did the warden say to the nun? When he said, "What do you think? Sister, who are the people for what crime do you think make our best trustees when they come here? What do you think? What crime?"
Murder.
Murder. You know why? He said, because when people got up that morning, they didn't know where they were gonna murder anybody. If something happened, they had a gun, bang, 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 you dead. I was drunk, on drugs, I'm mad, I got a gun. Guns make it so easy, all you gotta do is this. And he said most of them then get in prison to begin to educate themselves a little bit, read books, they don't have drugs, they in a disciplined life, and they make our best trustees, but we gonna keep them here for the rest of their life. Life without parole is just as much a death sentence in prison as going to the electric chair and just spread out.
Yeah.
And it's up to us. When citizens wake up and we get to our legislators, things change. And you can see the shift happening across the United States. You can see it happening. Louisiana's close. We came close. And we are going to repeal it. I don't think there's going to be a bill this year. There may be. But next year, be ready. Because we are going to end the debt. We already ended it in taxes.
Yeah,
So we need to end it. You agree?
absolutely, I agree. Absolutely agree. I know that we're the exoneration capital here. I've had other people that have sat on that couch that were wrongfully incarcerated for decades,
Yeah,
sharing their story. And this system just isn't fair or just, so we absolutely can't trust it to make decisions about who should live or die.
And spending millions, to incarcerate people.
We could be using that money to help people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know what, and been in this struggle to end the death penalty, and it's all about what, I've been to every state, all 50 states, in and out of cities countless times. You know what I've found out about the American people and the death penalty? They were never wedded to this thing in the beginning, like, oh yeah, we gotta kill people. Yeah. They just didn't know anything about it. They just were not awake about it. But they have good hearts, and they don't want to put the government in charge of killing people. Wake people up, and they go, yeah, oh no, we shouldn't be doing that. So, it gives me hope. I believe that's true about all the discussions that need to happen in this country, about immigration on.
Mm-hmm.
Get together with people like in a room like this, and have fun. Music's really important for us to keep us whole and sane and alive and together, and dig into some of the issues, just like you're doing in the format in this, so that then we can act. And action is, when I had been uninvolved, got into the St. Thomas Housing Project, got involved in hotels, and when the first action that I took, it was to march with tenants who the maintenance men weren't coming around. You're a poor person on welfare. We're not coming to take care of the leak in your apartment or whatever. And I marched with people for tenant rights. And the minute you put your hand on that rope and you start acting, the freedom. The worst part is trying to decide how to act. Oh, I could do this, I could do that. Oh, they got all these needs. We feel paralyzed. But the minute we begin to act with a community of people, man, the freedom of that and the energy of that just catalyzes us, gets us going, makes us alive.
I agree.
Yeah.
Sister Helen, thank you so much for your